Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda and in today's video we're going to be doing a autumn slash winter gel polish design. I feel as though it's a little bit early for winter nails, but Instagram is already being flooded with Christmas nails, so I felt like I definitely had to start putting some wintry sets out there. So this was the design I come up with for today's video. I really hope you all enjoy watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below of this set. Jumping into the design, I'm going to be working on display tips today, and here I have the gorgeous navy baby, which is from the new fall 2021 collection. Now I have just popped one coat of that down and popped it into Cure because that colour is going to be a base for some foil, so I don't need two coats of colour. And the foils that I'm going to be using are box number 7, which is the abstract plaid foils. And I'm going to be using this gorgeous blue one here. Now, I've been wanting to use these foils since they released, but I did feel as though they had a bit more of a wintry vibe to them, so I couldn't wait to get them out. Now, of course, to apply the foils, I'm going to be using the amazing Kiki London foil gel. So I want to do a full foil nail, so I'm going to make sure to apply my full foil gel to the entire nail. When you are doing a full coverage nail, you need to make sure that your foil gel is covering the entire nail. Also, when I'm doing a full cover nail, I always make sure I have my Kiki London silicone tool to hand. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop that foil gel into Cure for 30 seconds and I'm going to immediately start pressing down my foil once that foil gel has cured. So I like to place my foil down roughly where I want the image to be, and then I'm going to work my way from the center outward, smoothing that foil on to the tacky foil gel. So what I like to do is I like to work from the center outwards, as I find this way I get a lot of the creases out nice and easily. But when I am doing a full foil design, I really like to take plenty of time to make sure that I'm getting that foil adhered nicely to the nail. So I'm going to do a combination of rubbing with my thumb and my fingers and using my silicone tool. This way, by rubbing with my fingers, I can kind of feel if there's any creases that I might have missed that you might not necessarily be able to see, especially when you're working with pattern foils like this. And then if I do feel any creases that are a little bit stubborn, I like to go over with the silicone tool because I find this gets them out a little bit easier. Now, once I feel as though that foil has started to adhere or it's fully adhered, I'm going to slowly start peeling it back. And when I say slowly, I'm really slowly peeling this back. I don't want to rip the entire thing off because like here, it hasn't fully transferred up in that top left-hand corner. So I'm able to lay that foil back down and rub any areas that it hasn't fully transferred. And then again, I will slowly peel it back to check that it has then fully transferred. It is a little bit tricky on these display tips. It's a lot easier to do on yourself or a client. Now, the reason I popped Navy Baby underneath was because it was the colour that suited this foil perfectly. So if there was any gaps in the foil, you wouldn't really be able to notice it because you've got a very similar colour underneath. I'm going to leave that now and I will top coat further along in the video. So we're going to move on to the second design. And for the second design, I'm going to be using the gorgeous Sleek Slate, which is also from the fall 2021 collection. Now, when I swatched this collection, I loved that there was some colours like Navy Baby and Sleek Slate that could take you into winter nails as well. Because sometimes when it comes to nails, the seasons move very, very quickly. So it's always nice to have some new colours on hand that will suit the upcoming seasons as well as the current season that we're in. And I feel like Sleek Slate and Navy Baby could very easily work in autumn slash winter nails, as well as you've got in that collection basically colours that will full on suit autumn, like pumpkin spice and ruby red. But then you have these ones that will suit going into winter as well. So I have done 2 coats of Sleek Slate and I've popped them into Cure for 30 seconds each. And then I am going to matte top coat this now because I'm going to be doing some hand painting over the top. So I'm going to come in, apply a thin coat of the No Wipe matte top coat and then pop this into Cure. Now this step is optional, but I've always personally found it a lot easier to hand paint over a matte surface. So that's why I've done that step. Then I'm going to take Mocha again. This is a colour from the fall 2021 collection, and I'm going to pop this down on my palette. And on this now, I'm basically going to be doing a cute little reindeer face. So I want the Mocha for my antlers on the reindeer. Now for my reindeer nose, I wanted a little bit of sparkle, so I've taken the gorgeous blue Lagoon. This was from the Spring Bling collection, and I absolutely love that collection because it was full of glitter gel polishes. So I knew they would be gels that I'm going to use all year round, especially in the winter and Christmas season. I find I use so much more glitter at that time of the year. So I've popped some of that down on my palette, and lastly I'm going to pop down some coconut. Coconut is the brightest white I find from Kiki London, so it's perfect for any smaller nail art details. In this particular design, I'm going to be using it for my reindeer eyes, so I wanted a really nice bright white. And then for applying all of my nail art, I'm going to, of course, be using one of my favourite Kiki London brushes, which is the Stripe Liner Brush. So I've popped those colours on my palette, and I'm going to start off by painting on the nose. I felt as though it would be easiest painting on the nose first of all, as I knew that that needed to go into the centre of the nail. And whenever I'm painting any kind of hand painted nail art, because it's not something I find very easy, I like to try and plan it out so I can kind of work out ways to make it that little bit easier. So I did find popping down the nose first of all made it a lot easier because you just had a central focal point. And I'm just going to be doing a roundish oval shape for the nose. The glitter gel polishes are very, very easy to paint with because they are a little bit forgiving when it comes to painting a crisp line. Just because they're jam-packed with glitter, I find them really easy to work with. Now I have popped that in for a 10-second flash cure just to freeze it in place so I don't smudge it whilst I'm adding on my eyes and my antlers. If you have got the Kiki London Deluxe 96 watt lamp, you will see it has a 10-second cure feature, and I use this feature a lot when I'm hand painting because it just gives you a 10-second flash cure, which doesn't fully cure your gel polish, but it freezes it in place, which is so handy for when you are doing hand painted nail art. So I'm then going to come on and paint on the eyes, and I'm keeping this a really simple cutesy design. So I'm just painting on two little slit shapes for the eyes. Really simple to do with the Stripe Liner brush. Now I always find when I'm doing any kind of hand painted nail art that I like to do the design ever so slightly smaller than what I want the finished result to be, so that if I have any areas that I need to even out or neaten up, I've gave myself a little bit of leeway to do that. So I started off with these eyes quite small just to get the shape down, and then they looked a little bit uneven and not very symmetrical, so I'm able to straighten them out a little bit without them ending up too big, if that makes sense. Then I gave them a 10-second flash cure, the same as the nose, before coming in and painting on my antlers. Now here you see I'd done this antler wrong, and because I've cured the eyes and the nose, I'm able to wipe that off with some alcohol just to remove it so that I can repaint it. I've just simply wiped it off with one of the Kiki London alcohol pads. Now this is also another reason why I love working over a matte top coated surface. If you make a mistake and you have already top coated, it wipes off a lot easier without disturbing any of your color coat that's underneath. So that's why whenever I do any hand painting, I pop a top coat down over my color. So I've basically finished my color steps, cured it, top coated it, and then the hand painted nail art is on top. It just means that if you're wiping off any of your gel polish mistakes, you're not disturbing or breaking down that color. And then personally, I always will matte top coat just because matte seems to be a lot easier to hand paint over rather than a glossy top coat. Because sometimes if you try hand painting over a glossy top coat, the colour can bleed and run, where it's not going to do that on a matte surface. It really does stay where you place the gel polish down, which is really handy when you're trying to get crisp or neat lines. So as you can see, whilst I was talking, the antlers were really easy to draw on. I just started off with 2 lines and then worked out with some smaller lines from there. It was pretty self-explanatory as I was going along, so I thought I would tell you my tips rather than talk you through how I painted on the actual antlers. Now that I've finished all of the hand painting, I'm going to pop that in for a full 30-second cure. And this was the finished result. I thought it looked super, super cute and it was fairly easy to do. Now on the next nail, I have already done 2 coats of Sleek Slate and my matte top coats the same as the previous nail. And I've done that as, again, I'm going to be painting over the top. And like I said, I just personally find it a lot easier. Now on this nail, I'm going to be doing a foil French. So I'm coming in first of all with Navy Baby, and I'm just going to draw a straight line across my nail, roughly where I want my French tip to be, like how far down I want it to be. And then I'm going to do 2 diagonal lines going across that meet in the center. And this is going to map out how far or how deep down I want my smile line to go. Then I just round off that triangle. Unless you wanted to keep it a triangular shaped French, then you don't necessarily have to round it off. And then as you can see, that creates a really basic, simple French nail shape. So I then filled that in with my bottle brush. And then looking at my French shape, I wasn't 100% happy with it. So before popping it into cure, I'm basically going to clean it up. So I've taken the Kiki London angled nail art brush and I'm wiping it I'm wiping it on to one of those alcohol pads just to moisten the bristles. And I'm then able to clean up and sharpen up that French line. And then I kind of swap between doing that and coming in with more gel polish using my stripe liner brush, just to get that French as neat and as crisp as possible. Now, I'm not actually going to be keeping this as a Navy Baby tip. I'm going to be applying foils over the top, but because I'm using this as my base or guide color, I need to make sure it's as neat as possible, because I'm then, after curing, going to come in with my foil gel and I'm going to paint that directly over the Navy Baby. So I find this way of doing a foil French easier than just painting on the foil gel. Because the foil gel is clear, it can be a little bit tricky to see where you're painting it. So that's why I like to have a color underneath. And then also because, like I said when we was doing that first foil now, if you have a similar or matching color underneath your foil, if you do have any gaps or imperfect areas in your foil, it's not going to be noticeable if you've got a corresponding color underneath. So that's why I've done my foil French this way. But of course, if you wanted to speed up the process, you could just come in and paint on your French tip with the foil gel and then apply your foil. Now I've painted that foil gel directly over the Navy Baby and I've cleaned and neatened it up exactly the same way as I did the Navy Baby. Then I've popped that foil gel into cure and I'm going to use the same piece of foil because I had plenty of it left. So I'm going to apply it very, very similar to how we applied it on the full foil French nail. So I start off by placing it down and working from the center outwards, just making sure to get any of those creases out. Now on this nail, obviously you're not covering the entire nail, but it is a little bit tricky to see where you're applying that foil or where your foil gel is underneath. So I like to make sure I'm rubbing all over the nail just to make sure I'm giving it good contact with that foil gel. And then, like I said, I alternate between using my thumb and finger and the silicone tool, just making sure that that's really adhering down to the foil gel. Now, you can usually tell when that foil is ready to be peeled off because you will see the pattern breaking away from the backing paper of the foil. So I peeled it off slowly and then I had a tiny bit here that hadn't fully transferred. So I just patched that up by pressing the foil down again. And then as you can see, the foil has fully transferred to the French tip, but it does look a little bit messy and uneven in certain areas on what would be the nail bed area. So where we have that sleek slate. So what I'm going to do is, again, taking a little bit of alcohol on my brush, I'm going to rub away any of that excess foil that I don't want and neaten up the smile line. Now, if you find it's a little bit tricky or stubborn to do with alcohol, you can moisten your brush with a tiny bit of acetone as well, but be careful how much you're using because the acetone will break down the top coat that you've got on. So I've then popped that now aside. Again, we're going to top coat that further along in the video. On to the fourth and final now. Again, I've done my 2 coats of Sleek Slate and I'm then going to come in with the Kiki London No Wipe Rubber Top Coat. Now on this now, I'm going to be applying some crystals. So I'm going to be applying those crystals using the No Wipe rubber top coat. The No Wipe rubber top coat is amazing for applying your crystals, and the Kiki London dotting and gem tool makes a crystal application so much easier. It's one of my favorite tools at the moment, to be honest, because I'm slowly getting back into using more crystals in nails, and this just makes application so much more easier because crystals can be really fiddly. But I love the wax end on this crystal tool. It just picks up the crystals every single time, and the dotting tool end comes in handy as well at moving those crystals around when you've placed them down on the nail. It also comes in handy when you want to sort through your pot of crystals and find a specific size. So applying the crystals, I've applied my layer of No Wipe rubber top coat and I have left this uncured. So I'm going to set my crystals down into that uncured top coat. Now, because the No Wipe rubber top coat is slightly thicker, it really helps those crystals sink down into the top coat. The top coat gets all around the sides of them, so when you pop it into cure, it freezes them in place. The other thing I love about applying crystals this way is it means you've got as much play time with your crystals as you want, because they're not going to start drying or setting in place until you pop that rubber top coat into cure. When you are applying crystals with, say, a glue, the glue will start drying within a couple of seconds. So if you place a crystal down and you're not happy with how it's placed, you've got to remove it, and then you've got the messy look of the glue and all of that. You don't have that problem when you're applying the crystals with the No Wipe rubber top coat. And I also find that these will last the whole duration of the set that I wear without any chipping or coming off, which I do sometimes find when I apply my crystals with a glue, they can start chipping off roughly a week in, where with the No Wipe rubber top coat, because they have sunk down into that top coat, and you can then also top coat around the edges as well, they're fully sealed in until you want to remove them. So once I am happy with how those crystals are all placed, I've just done a little cluster up in the corner. I've then popped them in to fully cure for 60 seconds, and that's those crystals set in place. But we are now going to come in and top coat. Now, I wanted this entire set to be matte just because I knew I would love this foil matte, and I also love a sleek slate matte as well, and I thought it would look great against the crystals as well. So I decided to do the entire set matte. So I'm just coming in and applying a thin layer of this to all of the nails, just keeping it nice and thin, just because you don't want to add too much bulk, especially when you have done several layers of nail art like we have done here. Now, when it comes to applying that matte top coat over the crystal, now I'm going to make sure that I go right around those crystals, but you don't want to get any of the matte top coat on the crystals because it will dull their shine. So I'm pushing my brush up as close to them as possible just to really get around them, because it does help seal those end ones in, but I'm making sure not to get any on the crystals. And this, guys, is the finished result. I really did think they was more of a winter, especially going into winter set of nails, but I thought they looked really cute and cozy. So I hope you all enjoyed watching. If you did enjoy today's video, then please do give it a thumbs up and leave us a comment below. And if you haven't already subscribed to the Kiki London YouTube channel, then please do hit that subscription button. Thank you all so much for watching, and lots of love. Bye bye.